The road was more a suggestion than a path. Cracked dirt, broken branches, and silence so thick it made the ears ring. Lucas tightened his grip on the steering wheel as the tires bumped and skidded over uneven terrain. The sun was barely up, a pale smear in the sky. Mist clung to the trees like something alive. "You're sure this is it?" Nina asked from the passenger seat. She was squinting at her phone, watching the signal flicker and die again. Lucas gave a half-smile. "Trust me." Carla said, "It's past the old lighthouse. Hidden. Not even on the maps anymore." In the back seat, Andre munched loudly on chips, half asleep and careless. Carla sat next to him, silent, eyes locked on the window. She hadn't spoken much since they left the highway. Her face was unreadable, like she was waiting for something. The truck skidded to a stop near a break in the forest. Beyond the last row of trees, the world opened up into a crescent of pale sand and black rocks, the beach. But Lucas awoke with a start, drenched in cold sweat. He couldn't remember the dream, only that it had teeth. Outside the tent, the world was still dark. Not pre-dawn dark, but darker, as if the moon had been swallowed whole. He slipped out quietly. The others were still asleep. The fire had died completely. Not even embers remained. That was strange. There should have been something left. The sand felt colder than before. Damp. It clung to his feet like clay. As he stepped away from the tents, he noticed it. Footprints. Dozens of them. Barefoot, leading in all directions. But none coming toward the camp. They all led away, as if something, or someone, had walked in circles around them while they slept. He followed a set of prints toward the jungle. The trees loomed like statues, unmoving, dense, and watching. A low hum filled the air, almost too low to hear. It vibrated in his bones. Then, the sound stopped. The jungle path ended abruptly at a clearing he hadn't seen. The sun never rose properly that morning. It hung low on the horizon, a dull orb barely cutting through the gray haze that smothered the sky. Everything looked bleached, colors drained, shadows long. The sea no longer glistened. It stared back, a mirror of something waiting. Lucas and Nina stood by the water's edge, Carla's footprints slowly being erased by the tide. "She walked straight in," Nina whispered. No hesitation. "She didn't scream," Lucas said. "Not once." Neither of them said what they were thinking, that Carla hadn't drowned. She'd been taken. They packed in silence. Andre barely moved. He sat hunched beside the fire pit, hands shaking, muttering something under his breath. "We have to go," Lucas said, kneeling beside him. Andre looked up. His pupils were dilated. "There's no leaving. It's not the beach. It's underneath. It's always been underneath." Lucas grabbed his shoulders. "Snap out of it. We find the road. We walk if we have to." But the morning after Carla vanished, silence fell like a curtain. Not the peaceful kind. This was the silence of empty cathedrals. The kind that hummed in your bones. That warned you something sacred had been broken. Lucas didn't know what time it was. The sun barely moved. The sky remained locked in a pale gray, as if time itself hesitated to pass. The beach stretched on forever, but it felt smaller, tighter. Nina stood by the sea, hugging herself. She didn't scream. She said again, more to herself than him. None of them ever scream. Lucas didn't answer. There were no more explanations. No more logic. Something ancient was here. It didn't hunt them like an animal. It didn't chase. It simply waited, drew them closer. Like the tide, he knelt by where the tents used to be. Only the outlines remained, shadows pressed into the sand, shaped like sleep. "What's underneath this place?" Nina asked suddenly. "What's beneath the beach?" Lucas didn't respond at first. Boo. Lucas didn't think. He ran, dragging Nina with him, down the cliffside, slipping, scraping skin on stone. Behind them, the other Nina didn't chase. She simply followed. No rush. No panic. Just certainty. They hit the sand hard. Nina cried out as she twisted her ankle, but Lucas hauled her to her feet. The water was up again, now licking at the lowest rocks of the cliff. "How is it rising so fast?" she whispered, holding her side. Lucas didn't answer. He was staring across the sand. There were more of them now. Copies. Of himself. Of Nina. Of Carla. Of Andre. Standing near the crosses. Watching. Their mouths moved, but made no sound. He looked down at his hands, trembling. Pale. The lines in his palm seemed different. Faint. Rewritten. "What if we're the copies?" he muttered. "No." Nina grabbed him. Her grip was weak, but real. We're us. We remember. They don't. But what if that's part of it? What if they give us enough memory to make us think we're re? There was no sensation, no light, no sound, no self. Lucas couldn't tell if he was falling or floating, if time was passing or if he had been suspended forever in this void. Then, without warning, reality cracked back into place, like glass snapping inward, and he hit the ground hard. Sand, but not the beach. He sat up, gasping. The sky was red now. No sun, just a swirling storm of clouds that moved like liquid. The air was thick, heavy. It felt like breathing through fabric. Beside him, Nina groaned and rolled over. "You okay?" he asked, voice hoarse. She nodded, then froze. "Where are we?" Lucas turned. They were back on a beach, but not their beach. The sea was black and perfectly still. No waves. The trees were ash gray, leafless, bending toward the ground like they were trying to listen. The horizon pulsed. And in the distance, structures. Buildings? No. Graves. Hundreds of them. Rows and rows of stone markers, some ancient, others new. And Carla, alive, waving, her silhouette backlit by a strange red light that pulsed like a living wound. Lucas stumbled toward her, but Nina grabbed his arm. "Wait. What?" "It's her. We saw her." "No," she said, eyes wide. "We lost her. We saw the cross. We heard her scream in the woods." Lucas looked again. Carla still stood at the cliff's edge. Same hoodie, same messy bun, same crooked grin. But her smile didn't move. Her face didn't shift at all, frozen in an expression that wasn't human. Then she waved again, but this time, her arm didn't bend. It extended, unfolded. Too long, too slow. "Run," Nina said. But Lucas couldn't move. Carla's mouth opened, wide and silent. And from that impossible gape came a sound like glass breaking in reverse, like screams being sucked back into lungs. A noise that wasn't meant for human ears. Lucas dropped to his knees. And Carla, that thing, stepped off the cliff. But instead of falling, she drifted down, like she icy in Arcabacalho. Lucas opened his eyes. He was lying on the beach. The real one. Blue sky. White sand. The ocean calm and whispering. He sat up, gasping for air. Nina was beside him, coughing, covered in dirt and seawater. It felt normal. Too normal. No strange sky. No frozen time. No versions of themselves staring back. No well. Just the beach. He looked around. The tents were still up. The fire pit, unlit. The logs untouched. His backpack was dry. The cooler still full. It was as if the last 2 days hadn't happened at all. He turned to Nina. Are we back?" She nodded slowly. "I think so." But neither of them moved. The silence between them was too loud. Lucas stood and walked toward the cliff. His footsteps made no sound. The crosses were gone. The graves. The voices. Gone. But the feeling remained. Like they were still being watched from just beneath the surface of everything. As if the world had reset, but not healed. He found Carla's phone. If this story crawled under your skin, if it whispered to a fear you thought was forgotten, share it. Let someone else hear the voice beneath the waves. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment about what you think the well really was, and remember, not all echoes fade with time, some just wait to be heard again.